Hi, and welcome to yet another screencast in our Ancient World class. First of all, I want to apologize for being a little bit late in publishing this screencast onto the class blog. I apologize for that, and I know that some of you like to do your homework in advance, so I will probably cost you a little bit of a headache here during this week. So again, I apologize for that, but hopefully it will not be too bad for you. So what we'll be talking about today is the first few civilizations in the Americas, and this is chapter 9, section 1, as you can see from the title here. And this is going to continue on after the notes that you took for homework, the notes that you were quizzed on during your block day. So these are the notes that will follow after those notes if you organize them in your notebook or on your computer. So the notes that you took and the notes that you were quizzed on dealt with how people came over to the Americas first during over the land bridge or via boat, that sometimes people argue. And today we're going to look at the first few settled areas in the Americas. So that's the topic for today. So the first few settled areas in the Americas, that's the main topic for today. And the first area to be settled in the Americas and the first population to settle in the Americas was in the very far north, and that's the Inuit population. So the Inuit population. I have a map here for you. This is a modern day map. As you might be aware of, the Inuits are still around today. They live in the far north of Canada, and you might also know them by the name of Eskimos. The Inuit population do not like to be known as Eskimos. It's a derogatory term in their culture, so instead we call them Inuits. So the Inuits live in the very, very northern part of Canada. This is Canada down here. You got the very northern part of the United States right down here. And they came over, this is Alaska right here, and they came over and settled in these very, very northern regions of Canada around 4000 BCE. They settled around 4000 BC. And as you can probably figure out just by looking at this map, this is a very harsh climate to live in. It's extremely cold. Most of the year, the lakes and the oceans around here are completely frozen. So they basically live on the ice and live on the tundra, which is the kind of the very sparsely vegetated area in the northern part of Canada. So this is the tundra. They lived on the ice in the tundra. They were semi-nomadic. Which basically meant that for parts of the year, usually during the summertime, they moved around. They moved with their animals, and they hunted animals, and they moved with their animals. And they also could also live from berries and fruits that were growing, and they would kind of harvest what was there in a certain location and then move to a different location. During the wintertime, of course, that did not happen. So during the wintertime, they settled. So they were settled during the wintertime. And as you probably are aware of, they lived in these famous igloos, these ice houses, during the wintertime. And again, as you can see from this painting here, this is a very harsh type of living. So during the summer, moved, and during the winter they stayed settled. So they stay settled. So during the winter time, they basically lived from fishing, and most of the time they would basically put away as much food as they possibly could during the summer, so that they could live on that food during the winter time. So that is the first population that settled in the Americas. The second population that start to settle down and start to form something that begins to look like a civilization is the what we call the Eastern Woodland tribes. So these are the Eastern Woodland tribes. This is roughly around 1000 BCE. And I have another map here. This is the Eastern Woodlands right here. And as you can see, now we've gotten, would be Canada up here. And so we've gotten a little bit further south. This is Lake Michigan. This is where Chicago is located today. And as you can see, this is a relatively large area. And again, we're moving further south on the American continent, and even we get into areas that are today Virginia with the Powhatan, which is obviously a very famous Native American tribe in Virginia. The Powhatan is one of the Eastern Woodland tribes. So the Eastern Woodlands were the first ones to kind of move further south here. They kind of had a mix of farming and hunting and gathering. So they had a mix between farming, hunting, and gathering. They were not very advanced when it came to farming. They had not quite yet figured out how to do that in an effective manner. So that is why they had to rely on hunting and gathering as well at the same time. So this is kind of a transition period in the history of the Americas here. So the shift then to more permanent farming. That happens around 700 CE. And as you should notice, this is very, very late in the development of civilizations. By this time, the Greeks have already had their glorious period. The Roman Empire has risen, it has fallen, and Europe is already in the Middle Ages at this point. So this is the first time in the Americas, though, when we have the shift to permanent farming. And this is around the Mississippi River. So this is around the Mississippi River. So if we go back to this map here, you can see the Mississippi River here. Going through Illinois down towards what is today Missouri. And so this is the area right here where the first permanent settlements that were solely based on farming, that's where they were founded, and that's where they existed. So what did they grow? Well, they grew a couple of different things. They grew, and you probably heard about this before, they grew corn, squash, and the last one is beans, often known as the Three Sisters: corn, squash, and beans. So that's what they primarily lived on. One of the things that you might know about the United States geography is that this area right here around the Mississippi is very fertile. It's a very good area to establish farming villages and farming civilizations. So they could grow crops and they could thrive on these harvests that often produced a great deal of food and made life relatively easy compared to the other civilizations that we looked at today, the Inuit and the Eastern Woodlands. As a development, and we've seen this throughout the entire course, we of course have the development of smaller villages growing into cities. And the first city in the United States is a city called Cahokia. And Cahokia, we think, historians are not necessarily entirely sure, but we think Cahokia existed from about 850 till about 1100 CE. And this is the first city. And I have, from National Geographic here, I have a picture. This is Cahokia today. And you can see these mounds here right there and right there, and there's another large one over here. That these were so-called mound builders. They were mound builders, so they built these cities on these mounds. If you go back to this picture right here, these are the mounds that are still there, but historians and archaeologists believe that when this city was present and was at its most liveliest, we had these type of mounds all over the place, and they would have houses on these mounds, right next to these mounds, and these mounds kind of served as the centerpiece for this city. And this was a relatively large city. If we go back to the whiteboard here, it had roughly, we think, around 10,000 people living in it. And as a comparison, around this time, at about, let's say, 1000 CE, London had only about 3,000. So it was a bigger city than London at that point. So Cahokia is kind of a little bit of a forgotten city. Not a whole lot of people know about it, but it was a relatively large and bustling place in the history of the American development here. So where's Cahokia located? Well, Cahokia is located right down here by the Mississippi River. It's right outside where St. Louis is today. I don't know if anyone has been to St. Louis, but it's right outside St. Louis today. And if you're ever in the Midwest and you go to St. Louis, you can travel just outside the city and you can tour these mounds today. So that is the end of this screencast. As part of this screencast, I will also ask that you take a short little quiz. The quiz will not be graded. It's just to check for your comprehension of this screencast, which was probably or hopefully not too difficult. But that will also be located on the class blog. As always, if you have any questions, write them down and we'll go over them in class on Friday.